All right, hey everybody. My name's Aiden, and I'll be doing the lecture part of these notes, and then Andrew is going to be doing the examples. All right, so let's start with demand and supply. We're going to start with competitive markets, and a market is any arrangement that brings a buyer and a seller together. A market might be a physical place where a group of buyers meet, or it can be something online or digital where multiple people from around the world can get together but not actually come into contact. So obviously, the physical place is like going to Target or Walmart, and you're going to an actual store. And the online is like Amazon or any site that you go on to buy clothes or different materials. Next thing is quantity demanded, which is the amount of a good, service, or resource that people are willing to pay and able to buy during a specified period at a specified price. So usually in the question or prompt, you'll get like a certain interval that it falls between, or they'll use short run or long run. Next is the law of demand, which is as other things remain the same, if the price of the good rises, the quantity demanded of that good decreases, and if the price of the good falls, then the quantity demanded of that good increases. So obviously, if the price goes down, more people are going to want to buy it because they have uh, more money since the price is lower, and then they're able to buy more. The demand schedule is basically just like a table showing the corresponding price to the amount ordered. So it tends to be that if the price is lower, there have been more products ordered, and then as the price increases, there's less of the product because they kind of have to balance it out and try and make the same amount of money. Next is the demand curve, which is a graph of the relationship between the quantity demanded of a good and its price when all other influences on buying remain the same. It tends to be a straight line downward like this, which you can see in the picture at the bottom. And the reason it goes straight down like that is for these three reasons. The law of diminishing marginal return, which is the more of something you have or do, the less you like it. So it's kind of like if you eat the same thing over and over again for an extended period of time, you're going to get tired of it. It's the same concept. The income effect is as the price goes up, you're able to buy less because it gets more expensive, so you're not able to buy as many or as much of the product. And the substitution effect is as the price of the product goes up, it gives people a reason to look for something less expensive as a substitute. All right, so and then a change in the quantity demanded is that's something that results from the price. So if the price of the good changes and people buy more of it, so if it gets cheaper and people buy more, or if it gets more expensive, people buy less. That's quantity demanded, not demand. Demand is not talking about price. Quantity demanded is talking directly about price.
Alright, so I'm gonna teach y'all how to use this whole graph right here. I'm gonna show y'all how to use it, what it means, everything. Y'all gonna be professionals after this. So I'm gonna stand on this side, do a little. Anyways, so I'm kind of clean with it to be honest. Okay, so let's see here. So on your y-axis, you're gonna have price. This is gonna show you how much your product is selling for, and then your quantity demanded is showing you how many units the consumers are going to buy. So the way you use it is, uh, let's say you're trying to sell pens for $2, and you're trying to see how many the consumers are willing to buy at $2. So you draw a little line like this until you hit the demand curve from $2. Find your point on the demand curve, then bring it down like this until you hit 30. So at $2, consumers will have a quantity demanded of 30 pens, and that's what that's showing. And so it's pretty simple. Changes in price only affect movement along the demand curve. It does not shift it. So if you change the price to $3, the demand doesn't decrease, but your quantity demanded does increase or does decrease. So let's say we're selling them for $3 now. So draw your line, hit the demand curve, bring it down, and we're gonna say that's 22. It's a little bit above 20. So at $3, consumers are willing to buy 22 pens, and that's basically all you gotta know. All right, so I'm gonna for me, I'm gonna assume y'all got that, but as a teacher though, Um, I'd lose my teaching credentials if I assume that. So I'm gonna give you some problems and stuff. Um, problem, like not multiple problems, because I'm not about that life. But here, tell me. Oh, let's change this market, because pencils is not selling for that much. Let's see here. What sells for that much? Dang. All right, so obviously these people is tripping because they should be trying to buy more of my mixtape at $40 because that's a steal, to be honest. But it's whatever. So at $40, they're gonna be. You just follow along the demand curve. Remember, this is demand. You follow along it until you hit $40, and then you go down, and the quantity demanded is 25. You do the same. Keep going down till you hit 20, and then the quantity demanded for that is 75. So at $20, I'll sell 75 mixtapes out my back of my truck, and then at $40, I'd be selling 25. It's pretty simple. As long as you just pay attention, because I know y'all not paying attention, because it's like the first day of school or whatever. But
That we've looked at the graph, we're going to talk about how that line or the demand can change, which is also known as a shift. So the way that demand can change is if the amount that people buy changes, but not because of the price. So if the product becomes less popular or there's something new that people can buy that does the job better than the existing product, obviously people are going to buy less. So there's going to be less of the product sold. And if that were to happen, you're obviously going to need a new demand schedule and a new demand curve. So if they're buying less of it, you move the line to the left or kind of underneath the existing line. And if they buy more, you move the line up or to the right of it. Um, for the demand schedule, it doesn't necessarily matter if they're buying more or less. You're still going to need a new one because if they're buying less, or if they're buying more or less, you still need to change the price and the amount that you're selling to correspond with that price. The next kind of acronym that they try to teach you is SPRITE. So the S stands for substitute, and when you're looking at a substitute, it's always the price of the product. A substitute is also known as the or. So it's if you're buying a product, it's this or that. You're not buying both; it's one or the other. So it's like apple juice or orange juice. It's you have to pick one. And then P is the population, so it's kind of like the audience or who they're targeting with the product. R is a related product, also known as a complement. And again, you're looking at the price of that product. So a complement is something that you buy with something else. So an example is like milk and cookies. You think about it with an and. It's two things together. And I stands for income, which you're going to have normal goods or inferior goods. I think Andrew's going to talk more about the difference between the two in one of the examples. But for normal goods, as the income rises, you demand more, and for inferior goods, as income rises, you demand less. T stands for taste and preferences, which is just a trend. So it's not something necessarily long term. It's kind of it'll change over time, and it's not necessarily consistent. E stands for expected future price. So if the price of a good is going down, you're going to wait to buy it because you know that it's going to get cheaper. So you're trying to get the most value for your money, so you buy it at the lowest price. And then the opposite. So if the price is going up and you know it's going to keep going up, you want to buy it now because then you're not spending more money later.
that orange juice and toothpaste are complements of each other, because they are, you know, people be taking shots of orange juice, brushing their teeth. You feel me? That's common. So we're gonna say that they're complementary goods. If the supply of orange juice increases, that's going to bring down the price of orange juice. How is that going to affect the demand for toothpaste? Okay. So if orange juice prices decrease, then the quantity demanded for them will increase. So since toothpaste is commonly bought together with orange juice, the demand for toothpaste would go up as it is a complementary good. Okay, let's say barbecue sauce and ketchup are substitutes of each other. People is like, barbecue sauce, ketchup, same thing. You feel me? Ain't got no preference. So, um, let's say that the that barbecue sauce goes on sale, the price decreases. How's that gonna affect the price or the demand for ketchup? All right, since barbecue sauce and ketchup are substitutes for each other, if barbecue sauce goes on sale, then that's gonna increase the demand for barbecue sauce, and since it's a substitute for ketchup, ketchup's gonna decrease in demand. All right, let's say you a grad student going out of state, and you already 100K in debt, right? So you've been living off a cup of noodle every single day for the past 5 years. You going on your 6th year. What happens to the demand for the inferior good, a cup of noodles, once you become a doctor, and your income increases? All right, since cup of noodles is an inferior good, cause you ain't seeing rich people be hobsnobbing, eating ramen noodle cup of noodle like this, with their pinky up and stuff. You don't see that. That's for when you have to buy it. I forgot what I was talking about, but that's okay. Um, yeah, it's an inferior good. So when people's income increases with inferior goods, they buy less. So the demand for cup of noodles decreases. All right, there's this teacher, right? Let's say he gets in a fight with a kid. That kid just wanted hands. You feel me? He just needed some hands, and he wanted all of it. He wanted all the smoke, and so the teacher he go, you feel me? Just 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 one. You feel me? Um, and let's say that his income decreases because he gets fired for fighting the kid, and but don't worry about it. He's got a hot lawyer wife, so they're still well off. But income decreases. That's the main point. And let's say that iPhones are a common or are a normal good. What happens to the demand for iPhones in that household? Okay, wait. Since iPhones are a normal good, income decreasing will decrease the demand for iPhones. Especially since the teacher's hot lawyer wife was mad at him for fighting a kid, and he's grounded now. She cut off his allowance, and now he can't buy stuff. So that kind of sucks. But okay, Tiger King airs on Netflix, becomes the number one show in the nation, and it's showing like, wow, these tigers are cute. They ain't so bad when they're not eating people's husbands, you know. And with Joe Exotic's charming and dashing looks, he just makes the tiger life just seem so nice. So what happens to people's preferences towards tigers, and how does that affect the demand for tigers? So before Tiger King aired, people was just like, "Oh my, lions and tigers and bears!" Oh, they were like all grouped together like that, Like tigers was being profiled as dangerous big cats, But after seeing this show, people started saying, "Hey, they're not so dangerous. People can have these as pets." So, and plus Joe Exotic. Oh, if you're watching this right now, I'm gonna stop. Anyways, um, the demand for tigers is going to increase because people's view of tigers changed. Because they seen Joe Exotic as a celebrity endorsement, and the uh, and so their taste and preferences changes towards tigers, and now they want them as pets. So the demand increases. Okay, bear with me. this is a scenario. I'm gonna run the scenario through your head. Let's say that there's this random dude named Mike running through all the McDonald's in the nation, and you just chilling your drive in the drive-through, waiting for your food. You feel me? And this random dude named Mike just goes up to you and just, you feel me? Just um, and so this gets around, right? So that this random dude named Mike is just smacking people across the face in McDonald's drive-throughs. How does this affect people's tastes and preferences in McDonald's and the demand for McDonald's? All right, so obviously, I'm not trying to get smacked across the face in a McDonald's drive-through. You know, word gets around that that's happening. I'm not gonna go. So this is gonna decrease the demand for McDonald's. You know, because a brother's just trying to get some hot cakes and egg McMuffin. Like that's all I'm trying to do out here. And this dude named Mike just leaving handprints just for no reason. But some people are expecting the value of college degrees to go down because the supply of them is increasing as more people are having access to college. So, how will people expecting the value of college degrees to go down affect the demand for college degrees? With people expecting the decrease of value for college degrees, they're obviously not going to want to be paying all that expensive tuition and all that to for it to have no value. So the demand for college degrees would decrease. Okay, so let's say that the pricing for houses has been increasing and people are going to expect it to keep increasing. What's going to happen to the demand for housing as it's at a lower price currently? Okay, so if people are expecting the housing prices to go up in the future, then the demand for housing is obviously going to go up because people are
Being
going to want to.
supply, which is the relationship between the quantity supplied of a good and the price of the good when all other influences remain the same. So this one deals a lot more with the price. So in the law of supply, you can see that if the price of the good rises, the quantity supplied to the good rises, and if the price of the good falls, the quantity supplied to the good falls. Next is the supply schedule, which is the same as demand schedule, which is a table. So it's a list of the quantity supplied at each different price when all other influences remain the same. Supply curve. Um, on the graph, it's very similar to the demand curve, except it goes in the opposite direction. So instead of starting at the top of the graph and going down, it starts kind of where like 0, 0 would be on a regular graph and then goes up to the right. Um, and then changes in supply, which is a shift, is a change in the quantity that suppliers plan to sell when any influences other than price of the good changes. So again, as long as it's not the price that changes. So an example is like if you're like a dairy farm, you produce milk. The price of the milk doesn't change, but the number of cows that you have on your farm changes. So either if it's less or more, the amount of milk that you can produce is going to change.
I just want to give you guys a break because I know Aiden's like boring. Um, so, I just want to get your minds back into like paying attention and stuff because I know y'all paying attention to me. Y'all gotta be. Come on. Anyways, so if you guys want to see some good econ content going on Instagram, y'all should follow this LITE Skin Mamba 20. It's a great account. Post content all the time. So just go follow that. That's about it. I ain't got nothing else.
All right, so next is substitute in production. This is a good that can be produced in place of another good. So the supply of a good increases if the price of one of its substitutes in production falls. So if you have two products and they're both in competition with each other, if product two, the price of that product drops, more people are going to buy it because it's cheaper, and then uh, the first product, there'll be more left over, so less people will buy them. and then the supply is higher. And the same thing goes in reverse. So if the supply of a good decreases, if the price of one of its substitutes in production rises. So if the competition gets more expensive, you're going to buy the existing product because it's cheaper. Complement in production. A good is produced along with another good. For example, cream is a complement of skim milk at dairy. Um, the supply of a good increases if the price of one of its complements in production increases as well. So if you have two products, you have to buy them together. If one of them becomes more expensive, the consumer will probably just go and look for another alternative version of that product that is cheaper because they don't want to spend the money. The price of resources and inputs. Resources and input prices influence the cost of production, and the more it costs to produce a good, the smaller the quantity supplied of that good will be. So if it's very expensive to produce one item, you're gonna have less items. That's kind of like expensive car manufacturers. So the more the car costs, there's obviously less of them. As instead of like Toyota, who's very cheap for the most part, they can produce a lot more. Um, expectations expectations about future prices influence supply. So if you know that you're going to increase the price of the product in the future, you might produce more now because it's cheaper, so more people will buy, whereas in the future it'll be more expensive, less people will buy. And then expectations of future input prices also influence supply. So if you know that the materials that you're buying right now for your product will increase in price, you're going to buy way more now so that in the future when the price is higher, you're saving money. Um, Number of sellers. The greater the number of sellers in the market, the larger the supply. So obviously, the more people you can sell it to, the more products you're going to make, the more money you'll make. And then productivity. Productivity is one output per input of, sorry, productivity is output per unit of input. Um, so a product tends to be equal to 1 unit of input. Um, and then an increase in productivity lowers cost and increases supply, which an example is technology. So in factories, the reason they started using machines instead of people is because they can make the product faster at a lower cost, which increases supply for less money. Um,
All right, now I'm gonna show you how to read a supply schedule chart. Um, did I mention I have a mixtape? Um, I don't think I have yet, but yeah, it's out. Just find it. Anyways, so what this supply schedule chart shows us is how many units of a product a producer is willing to make at a specific price value. Um, so hypothetically, let's say that Andrew, me, is selling mixtapes. Hypothetically, of course, at five, I'm selling. I'm hit me up. Um, so at $5, I ain't selling my mixtape for $5. Like zero, zero. I ain't making that. I ain't putting that my stuff. Come on. So, but then at $10, I'm willing to. I need to make some money. You feel me? So at 10, I'll make 100. You know. Um, if I'm selling these mixtapes at 25, I almost said something. Then I'm obviously gonna be pushing more and more mixtapes out. You feel me? Um, Going up to 35. If you willing to buy my stuff at 35, woo, I'm gonna make 600 of them. So the supply curve shows us basically what the supply chart or supply schedule chart shows us, but in a graph form, and it's very similar to the demand curve in the way that we use it. So same thing as the demand curve. Changing of price moves along the supply curve. So um, you find where $5 intersects the supply curve, and then you find that point, and then you bring it down to the quantity demanded, and we're just gonna eyeball it for today. It's not exactly on 20; it's a little bit under. So that's about 18. So producers are willing to make to produce 18 basketballs at around $5. So I taught you how to move along the demand curve, but when it's actually a shifter of demand versus quantity demanded, um, I'll show you what the shifting to the left and to the right looks like. So shifters of demand include complements and substitutes, inferior and normal goods, tastes and preferences, and expectations. So when these things shift your demand, this is what it will look like. So let's say that your income increases and we're looking at a market for normal goods. So this will increase your demand, and what an increase in demand looks like on the graph is a rightward shift, and it will look something like this. And we're gonna label this demand 2 to show that this used to be this curve, but there was a shift to a different location on the graph. Okay, let's look at the uh, let's look at what a leftward shift of demand looks like. So let's say a substitute for this product we're looking at, its price decreases, increasing its quantity demanded. Our product is going to decrease in demand, and that's going to look like this. And it's going to have a leftward shift in demand, and it's going to look something like this. We're going to label that demand 2. And it just moves down and to the left like that. And it's pretty simple. This part wasn't that exciting. Like, I don't know how to make this funny at all. Like, I could draw something, I guess, like a little smiley face or something like that. Ooh, that looks kind of creepy, but I'd add eyebrows, like a little nose or something. Yeah, that's cute. Like, something like that, you know? Now it's like a dinosaur. Anyways, don't copy this down. If you need to look at that graph, then like go back and then, because I drew on this one. But yeah, before it was a good example, but now it's just a dinosaur. Yeah. Alright. That's all my time I got. Y'all have been mad respectful. Like, I haven't heard one of you guys talk this entire time. So thank you for not talking while I'm talking. Cause I know now that I'm a teacher, I can feel it, you know? Like, I'm just like before I was like, it's not that big of a deal, but now I'm a teacher, I'm just like, man, shut up. You in the back. Can I say that? I don't know if I can say that. But I'll open up now to questions. Anybody have questions? Y'all can talk now. Dang. Alright, I guess I'm gonna head out then.